Welcome to Advanced Docker Concepts. In this lesson, we'll explore how to improve deployment efficiency and scalability using Docker Swarm, Docker Service, and Docker Stack. These advanced concepts will help you take your containerization skills to the next level. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand the basics of Docker Swarm, learn how to create and manage Docker services, deploy a multi-container application using Docker Stack, improve deployment efficiency and scalability, and troubleshoot common issues. Docker Swarm is a powerful tool for managing multiple containers. It provides a decentralized architecture, making it easy to deploy and manage containers. With features like service discovery, load balancing, and rolling updates, Docker Swarm is a great choice for large-scale deployments. So, why use Docker Swarm? It improves deployment efficiency and scalability, simplifies container management and orchestration, and enhances fault tolerance and high availability. Plus, it's easy to integrate with existing Docker workflows and supports large-scale deployments and microservices architecture. A Docker service is a definition of a containerized application. It defines the container image, ports, and other configuration options. Docker services can be used to deploy and manage containers at scale, providing features like load balancing, service discovery, and rolling updates. To create a Docker service, use the Docker service create command. Specify the container image, ports, and other configuration options. You can also use flags like replicas to specify the number of replicas, publish to publish ports, and env to set environment variables. Here's an example of creating a Docker service. This command creates a new service named myService, uses the nginx image, and publishes port 8080 to port 80. The replicas flag specifies that 3 replicas should be created. A Docker stack is a definition of a multi-container application. It defines the services, networks, and volumes for the application. Docker stacks can be used to deploy and manage complex applications, providing features like service discovery, load balancing, and rolling updates. Here's an example of a Docker stack. This YAML file defines a stack with 2 services, web and DB. The web service uses the nginx image and publishes port 8080 to port 80. The DB service uses the Postgres image and sets environment variables for the database. To deploy a Docker stack, use the docker stack deploy command. Specify the stack file and the stack name. You can also use flags like with registry auth to authenticate with a registry, resolve image before, to resolve image before deploying, and roll back to a previous version. Here's an example of deploying a Docker stack. This command deploys a stack named myStack using the stack YAML file. The with registry auth flag authenticates with a registry. When troubleshooting Docker Swarm, use the Docker service elses command to list services, the Docker service cs command to list tasks for a service, and the Docker service logs command to view logs for a service. You can also use the Docker node ls command to list nodes in the swarm and the Docker node inspect command to inspect a node. Here's an example of troubleshooting Docker Swarm. This command lists all services in the swarm, lists all tasks for the myService service, and views the logs for the myService service. When using Docker Swarm, it's a good idea to follow best practices. Use a load balancer to distribute traffic across nodes, a registry to manage container images, a monitoring tool to monitor node and service health, a logging tool to collect and analyze logs, and a security tool to secure the swarm and its components. To optimize Docker Swarm performance, use the Docker service update command to update services, the Docker service scale command to scale services, the Docker node update command to update nodes, the Docker node promote command to promote nodes, and the Docker node demote node demote. Here's an example of optimizing Docker Swarm performance. This command updates the MyService service to use the latest Nginx image and scales the MyService service to 5 replicas. When working with Docker Swarm, you may encounter common issues like nodes not joining the swarm, services not starting, tasks not running, logs not being collected, and security issues. Make sure to troubleshoot these issues to ensure your swarm is running smoothly. When debugging Docker Swarm, use the Docker Service Else's command to list services, the Docker Service PS command to list tasks for a service, and the Docker Service Logs command to view logs for a service. You can also use the Docker Node Ls command to list nodes in the swarm and the Docker Node Inspect command to inspect a node. In conclusion, Docker Swarm is a powerful tool for managing containers. It provides features like service discovery, load balancing, and rolling updates. Docker services and Docker stacks are key components of Docker Swarm. Troubleshooting and debugging are important for ensuring swarm health, and best practices and optimization techniques can improve swarm performance. As a next step, practice deploying and managing Docker services and stacks. Explore advanced Docker Swarm features like networking and security. Learn about other container orchestration tools like Kubernetes. Join online communities to connect with other Docker users and take online courses to improve your Docker skills.